Right in the middle of a massive fight about divorce, your wife suddenly starts hearing your inner thoughts. On the outside, you are this totally submissive, obedient husband, but inside, you are singing a completely different tune. Divorce? Yes, please. I have been absolutely dying to ditch you, you giant walking red flag. Once this paperwork clears, I am heading straight back home, hiring 5 or 6 young nannies to spoil me hand and foot, and grabbing popcorn to watch the Dragon King rip you to shreds. But the second your CEO wife hears your actual thoughts, she completely throws out the whole divorce plan. See? Serafina suddenly realizes that her own best friend, her secretary, and even her aunt have their identity cards ready, eyeing you like a choice cut of premium Wagyu beef. Every single one of them is just waiting for you to become single so they can drag you straight to the registry office. To keep you by her side, Serafina is totally ready to hand over her entire $100 billion fortune, and she is even down to wear black stockings every day just to get your hugs and kisses. But you? You are dead set on leaving, racking your brain for a way out. And trust me, it gets wilder, because you transmigrated into a Dragon King novel. Sure, your current wife is incredibly young and gorgeous, with enough money to feed you for 10 lifetimes, but she is the massive villain of this web novel. And not just any villain, she is headed straight to prison, so you need this divorce immediately. According to the plot, today is the exact day Serafina comes home to demand a split. The only real roadblock is dividing up their massive wealth, since they never signed a prenuptial agreement. Talk about a clean break. You remember the Vanguard Consortium built its fortune in real estate, but 3 years back, her father managed things so poorly that government officials targeted them. Their cash flow totally dried up, and the stock crashed. In desperation, Serafina turned to her childhood sweetheart, her ultimate dream fiancé, a guy named Alaric, hoping he could save Vanguard. Their deal was simple: once they engaged, his family would restructure her company assets. Instead, Alaric bailed and fled the country, making front-page news while her stocks tanked again. That was when Serafina, who was just an art major, reached out to her biggest college simp. It was all a cheap publicity stunt to fake some good news and save the company. Fearing the company would collapse and that Kaylin might take advantage of it, her family did not even bother asking him to sign a prenuptial agreement. After sorting through these wild memories, you sit there whispering, "The only tough part left is splitting the money. As long as she stays away from my personal savings, I am totally fine with whatever." Right then, the front door clicks open. "I am home," a soft, exhausted voice calls out. You open your door and step into the living area. By the doorway, this gorgeous, long-legged CEO in a sharp black suit and gold glasses is slipping off her shoes. "Welcome home," you say, mimicking the original husband's warm, gentle smile. Serafina glances up, a brief flicker of warmth crossing her face. She gives a quiet nod and heads over to the couch. You serve her a warm bowl of goji berry and jujube soup, the absolute peak of simp behavior, and set it down. "Since it is that time of the month, skip the coffee. Drink this soup to recover your energy while I go whip up dinner. Dinner will be ready in 30 minutes. But as you turn to walk away, Serafina softly speaks up. "Wait a minute." A rush of pure excitement hits you, but you pretend to be confused. "Are you finally getting those divorce papers? Let us find out." Serafina pauses, completely baffled. Why is Kaylin acting so strange? His face and words do not match at all, but she shrugs it off. It is not a massive deal. She gestures to the empty cushion right beside her, telling you to sit down. She looks at your sharp, handsome face, which has this warm, gentle energy that Alaric never really had. Then, she says quiet like Alaric is back. "The Sterling family reached out to me today to bring back our old marriage arrangement. So, let us get a divorce. You have worked so hard these past 2 years. For compensation, I will give you this house plus an extra 100 million in cash." How does that sound? Guilt suddenly flashes in her eyes. She honestly feels like she ruined your life. If she had not trapped Kaylin in a fake marriage, he would probably be abroad studying for his doctorate. To repay his pure kindness, Serafina really ought to support him forever, making sure he never has to worry about money again. But Alaric returned, and he completely explained why he had to run away 2 years ago. It was not on purpose. He is trading his marriage to get his family to save her company from the government audit, so the best she can do is pay Kaylin off. Yes, absolutely. This is perfect. I have been waiting for her to say those exact words. Inside, you are celebrating, but you keep a totally blank face so Serafina does not suspect a thing. Instantly, your eyes fill with tears, playing the part of a loyal, heartbroken puppy. "Serafina, please do not go. I cannot survive without you. Who is going to wash your clothes or cook your meals? Who is prepping your daily necessities? Who is cleaning your room, running your bath, or massaging your feet?" Ugh, so cringe. You are dying inside, but Serafina just stands there completely dumbfounded. Wait, did she just hear a cheer in her head? Your face did not show any excitement, so she assumes she must be losing it. Kaylin is clearly playing the desperate simp who cannot live without her. Serafina decides to test him. Speaking in a very cold, distant tone, she can easily hire a cook and have daily necessities delivered on a set schedule. She can hire a professional to massage her feet. He is not irreplaceable, so she wants a divorce. After all, in 2 years of marriage, he has brought absolutely nothing to the table. Disappointment flashes in her eyes. In those 2 years, outside of using Vanguard connections for a tiny processing factory, he has not built any real career. He just spends his days playing house and cooking in the kitchen. He has zero ambition, unlike a real man. Alaric is 8 miles ahead the moment he came back from abroad. He started a massive media company. After taking over his family business, he instantly secured 4 or 5 major government contracts. You fake a deep, heavy sigh of disappointment, telling her that if that is how she feels, she should take care. Seriously, this woman is a walking red flag. What does she mean Kaylin brought nothing to the table? When she first took over the Vanguard Group, their stock was completely tanking. Did she forget who sold every single personal asset to buy up retail shares and stabilize the market? This time, Serafina is positive she heard that voice clearly. She was looking right at him, and she is absolutely sure his mouth did not move, which means she is hearing his thoughts. Right now, her entire world is spinning as she gives him a very complicated look. He wishes her a happy future, saying he will go prep dinner now. Happy future? Yeah, right. With her toxic attitude, she will never find real happiness, and Alaric does not even like her anyway. The only reason he likes Briar is because he saw through her terrible personality. You cannot help but feel bad for the original Kaylin. He was brilliant. Back in college, he invested in a friend's dating app and pulled in hundreds of millions of dollars in dividends. After marrying her to save Vanguard, he threw every single cent of that wealth right into the market. Sure, it is highly profitable today, but back then, Vanguard was about to collapse and be delisted. That took insane courage. And all he gets is her claiming he brought nothing to the table. Hilarious. If not for securing a clean divorce tomorrow, you would leave her toxic self right this second. Who actually wants to deal with a total disaster like her? Serafina's eyes are glued to your back as you walk away. She just heard him calling her a toxic red flag and saying Alaric likes Briar. She knows Briar, who runs a fast-growing cosmetic brand in Sapphire City and is already pretty famous. Just today, she and Briar were named among the top 10 most successful business owners in Sapphire City. Yet, Serafina does not recall Alaric ever knowing Briar before going overseas. As his childhood friend, she knows his past inside out. She figures Kaylin must just love her too much, letting his jealousy run wild because he cannot bear to lose her. She decides to call her lawyer to grant him a larger payout. Meanwhile, you have cleared your mind and are happily cooking up a storm. Tomorrow, the moment the divorce papers are signed, every tie with Serafina is cut forever. Then you will sell your factory, take the massive pile of cash back home, and hire 80 pretty maids to pamper you in shifts. Perfect. Just waiting for tomorrow's papers. Once Serafina finishes bathing, you give her a 30-minute foot rub, officially wrapping up your duties for the day. Heading out, you cannot help but look back at her perfect figure and sigh. Now you finally understand why the original Callan was such a massive simp. If it were not for the literal threat of dying, any man would stay for a stunning body like that. What is a quick 30-minute foot rub? You would happily let her smother you. Serafina watches as you walk out, looking so reluctant. Catching those thoughts, her heart beats with excitement. She truly believes he is so deeply in love that he is willing to die for her. Perhaps she really should tell her attorney to increase his divorce payout. Night falls. Serafina tosses and turns, completely unable to sleep. The moment she closes her eyes, those shocking thoughts she heard from you echo in her mind once more. That is just brilliant. He had been waiting for those exact words. Kaylin was literally just biding his time, waiting for her to bring up the divorce. Staring at the starry ceiling, Serafina keeps overthinking. The whole situation is starting to feel incredibly bizarre. Kaylin loves her to the point of absolute obsession. He literally cursed her to be unhappy out of pure, toxic jealousy over this divorce. Counting the fake stars on her ceiling, a wild thought suddenly hits her. Is there some homewrecker trying to steal him? Maybe Kaylin wants to see other women, and the more she dwells on it, the more likely it actually sounds. Serafina immediately dials her best friend. On the other end, Ara is fast asleep after a grueling day of filming, completely jolted awake by the loud ringing. Seeing Serafina is the one calling, she forces herself awake to answer. Sarah, what is going on? Ara, I think Kaylin is cheating on me. Ara is instantly wide awake. Ara gulps, pulling a second phone out from under her pillow. She opens it and stares at the chat history on her burner account with Kaylin. It is packed with photos of her wearing black pantyhose, thigh-high stockings, and very spicy lingerie. The most recent one from earlier today is a set photo. She is styled like a sultry secretary with black pantyhose, big waves, and red lips. And high heels. Pure temptation. Terrified, her friend knows she is trying to steal him. She suppresses her panic and whispers guiltily, "Sarah, Kalen is the least likely guy in the world to cheat, and Ara is incredibly confident about that. After all, she has been trying to seduce him for a year and a half, yet he hasn't even touched her. He doesn't even reply to her burner messages." On the other end, Serafina sighs, asking her to help analyze if Kalen actually cheated. Ara breathes a massive sigh of relief that she hasn't been caught. Then, Serafina mentions Eric is back, and his family wants them to reconnect. They want her to divorce Callan and remarry Eric. When she brought it up to Callan today, he admitted he was just waiting for her to say it. "Do you think some homewrecker is trying to steal my husband?" Maybe Callan wanted out but felt too awkward to bring it up, wanting to keep his nice guy image while waiting for her to make the first move. After dropping this massive bombshell, Serafina gets total silence from the other end. "Ara, why aren't you saying anything? Did something happen?" Meanwhile, Ara's eyes flash with pure, wild joy. Her dear bestie is finally letting Kalen go. "Now look at this shameless girl." Ara instantly fills in the blanks because she's the one trying to steal him, believing she's the only one bold enough to do it. Let's face it, who else would shamelessly send daily spicy photos to a married guy, especially when he's their own best friend's husband? Ara figures her endless teasing finally wore Kalen down. Gulping to hide her sheer excitement, she asks, "So, when are you two finalizing the divorce?" Serafina sighs. "Ara, just tell me first, do you think someone's actually stealing my husband?" After a quick struggle between love and friendship, Ara answers firmly. "Look, Serafina, a guy like Kalen had the backing of the Vanguard Group for 2.5 years, yet he only runs a tiny microchip factory. He's totally useless, with zero ambition besides doing groceries and chores. If he really cheated, you have to dump him. Seriously, tell me, when's the divorce day? I'll come cheer you on." Naturally, Serafina is totally thrown off by this sudden hype. "Ara, aren't friends supposed to help couples stay together, not split them up?" Ara's voice practically drips with fake heartbreak over the line. "Wake up, sister. A cheater is pure trash unless he's cheating with me. If you don't want him, I mean, what's there to hesitate about?" Staring at the ceiling, Serafina slowly sits up and sighs. She's just bitter. How could he humiliate her by cheating? Internally, Ara sneers, "Well, why on earth shouldn't he? You have not let him touch you in 2.5 years, acting like a toxic woman still chasing your white moonlight." Taking a deep breath, she speaks again. "Sister, take my advice and divorce him. Let us stop this endless mental drain. Tell me, when is the date? I am coming to support you." Serafina mutters it is tomorrow, and she probably cannot make it. Suddenly, Ara's eyes snap wide open. She leaps right off her bed. "Sister, do not worry. I will absolutely be there, booking my flight right now," she says before hanging up. Ara immediately texts her director to shoot everyone else first for some urgent business, then messages her wealthy mother. "Thanks to your daughter's relentless efforts, Serafina is finally divorcing Colin, so get the household registration book ready. I am flying back now, and trust me, if she divorces him in the morning, I am marrying him in the afternoon." Mother replies that this is wonderful, and her daughter is finally useful, telling her to hurry and bring Colin home. Meanwhile, Tessa, the female employee responsible for drafting that divorce agreement, has just finished working some intense overtime. Walking out of the office, she bumps into a voluptuous woman in a white tailored suit holding a folder, standing just a few steps away. "Secretary Kalia, you are not off work yet? I left something at the office and just came back to grab it. Did you finish drafting the divorce agreement CEO Serafina wanted?" Tessa nods painfully. Now it just needs Serafina and Kalen to sign. Secretary Kalia nods, thinking to herself how perfect this is. Her 2 years of deep undercover work finally paid off. She had tirelessly brainwashed Serafina, whispering that Kalen lacked ambition and only ran a pathetic little factory. Tonight, she will grab her ID and registry documents, ready to accompany Serafina to the civil registry office tomorrow. The second that divorce paper is stamped, she will drag Kalen straight to the marriage registration counter. Since Kalen loves Serafina so much, he will definitely be in a daze, leaving him vulnerable enough for her to sweep him up. Kalia is sure her gentle, comforting touch will easily win Colin over. Everything Serafina once enjoyed will belong to her instead. Meanwhile, tucked in bed, Serafina is drifting off when an icy chill suddenly rouses her, feeling like she is being watched by a deadly viper. In her dream, and get this, in her dream, divorcing Kalen turned him into the hottest commodity, with his factory mass-producing 3nm chips. During a time when foreign nations blockaded advanced chip technology, he completely monopolized the domestic market. Suddenly, her best friend, her secretary, her aunt, and countless other gorgeous women swarmed him. They were all practically tripping over themselves, desperate to throw themselves at him. Serafina sits straight up in bed, wiping cold sweat from her forehead. She exhales a massive sigh of relief. Thank God that was only a dream. Yet, A voice urging her to end things keeps echoing in her head. She remembers Secretary Kalia, who spent the entire month since Eric returned brainwashing her about Kaylin's lack of effort, praising how hard Eric works. Then, she remembers Kaylin's hidden thoughts. He was just waiting for her to say those words. An intense feeling of being played completely washes over her. Checking her phone, she sees it is only 3:30 in the morning, but going back to sleep is impossible. The next morning, you look at the dark circles under Serafina's eyes, sigh, and pull out some concealer to personally do her makeup. As she watches you carefully blend the makeup in the mirror, Serafina feels a sudden pang of regret for even mentioning a divorce. Kaylin might lack drive, but he is a genuinely good person. Hesitating, Serafina slowly opens her mouth to speak. Kaylin, if you just promise to work hard from now on, I really do not care about that arrangement with the Sterling family. Her eyes are completely sincere. Suddenly, your hand freezes. Now, look at this. Inside your head, you are screaming, no way, I want this divorce right now. If you do not divorce me, how am I supposed to find gorgeous, young girls to spend my life with? But outwardly, you shake off the shock and keep blending her makeup. You quietly whisper, Sarah, I'm just a simple guy with zero talent. I am sorry for letting you down. Instantly, Serafina's eyes flare with absolute rage. You absolute jerk. You really are cheating. Your thoughts completely gave you away. Fine, then let's get divorced, she declares coldly. No more talking. We are going right now. Downstairs, Secretary Kalia and Tessa are already waiting for them. The moment Serafina steps out of the elevator, Tessa holds out the paperwork, telling them the divorce agreement has been finalized. They just need to sign. Serafina scoffs coldly, quickly signs the papers, and gets straight into the car. You grab the document, skim it over, quickly sign your name, and hop right in. Seeing how eager you are to sign, Serafina feels another surge of rage. She mockingly asks if you are in a rush to meet your mistress. You simply frown and ignore her. The divorce is basically finalized now, so you are totally done putting on an act. Beside them, Secretary Kalia grabs the signed papers, her eyes sparkling with pure delight. The car drives smoothly toward the civil registry. The silence inside the vehicle is incredibly awkward. Nobody even dares to breathe. Suddenly, Serafina notices something off, and looks at Kalia in confusion, asking why she is driving today. Kalia casually glances in the mirror, and replies smoothly. The usual driver had to pick up his kid, so she's filling in today. Serafina simply nods and drops the subject. As soon as you step out of the car at the registry office entrance, two familiar figures immediately catch your attention. You wonder what on earth they are doing here. Standing right by the doors is a handsome guy and a stunning woman. Serafina spots Eric and Ara upon getting out and is also highly confused why they are here. Ara flashes you a smug look, walking up to Serafina, and claiming she came to offer moral support because she was worried Serafina would get bullied. Serafina happily hugs her. Standing to the side, Eric smiles gently, and adds that he is also there for support. A brief flash of deadly rage crosses Secretary Kalia's eyes. Watching this, you can't help but roll your eyes. Support her? Yeah, right. Aren't you actually in love with Briar? You would literally send Serafina to prison just so Briar inherits everything. Right when she is about to address Alaric, Serafina suddenly freezes. Pure shock washes over her. Ara holds her tight and whispers, Sarah, are you okay? She felt Serafina go completely rigid. Alaric immediately steps in, asking if she feels sick. Serafina catches her breath, and shoots him a sharp stare. She knows Kaylin wouldn't lie in his own thoughts, but she cannot imagine Alaric and Briar actually knowing each other. Their social classes are completely different, and she is absolutely certain her father would never cheat. Serafina is totally conflicted right now. Standing under the scorching sun, Tessa feels absolutely miserable. Deciding to break the tension, Tessa sighs and asks if she should grab a queue ticket for them. That is her perfect escape. Serafina's eyes light up. A ticket? What are you talking about? She snatches the divorce papers from Kaya, shoves them at Tessa, and snaps, look at this garbage you drafted. Tessa's eyes widen. What is happening? Why is she suddenly throwing the blame on me? You did not say any of this yesterday. You told me Kaylin was broke and we did not need to split his assets. The mind of a billionaire boss is a total mystery. Sighing, Tessa reluctantly takes the fall. My bad, boss, she says. But Serafina is already dragging Ara back to the car, complaining loudly. These papers are a complete mess. We cannot divorce like this. We will deal with it some other time. This sudden shift catches everyone completely off guard. Ara desperately grabs her arm. Sister, you cannot do this. Kaya looks deeply disappointed. Meanwhile, Kaylin starts panicking. Sarah, I do not have money. You are worth billions. Why are you crying over my pocket change, you stingy woman? Annoyed, Serafina turns around and scolds him. Kaylin, you might be broke, but whatever you have is still our joint marital property. I will not let you use my money to support other women. Ara and Kaya freeze, while Alaric speaks up softly. Sarah, since Kalen already cheated on you, just get the divorce and save yourself the massive headache. Whatever pocket change he has, I will cover it from our housing project. Passersby are amazed by Alaric's grand generosity. He turns to Kalen with a disappointed look. How could you cheat when Sarah is such an amazing woman? You roll your eyes at Alaric. Go ahead and play the saint, I dare you. Just wait until you try trapping Serafina with that housing project scam. Watch me detonate that landmine and make you look like an absolute clown. Hold on, watch her reaction here. Serafina's heart completely stops when she hears there is a trap in the project. Halen keeps thinking, should I also expose that Briar is actually the former CEO's illegitimate daughter and Alaric's secret first love? He remembers that the Sterling family's private hospital is holding the DNA test records, proving her true identity. He just needs to pull the right strings to get them. Meanwhile, a massive tidal wave crashes through Serafina's mind. So Briar is Alaric's secret first love, and the Sterling family hospital has the DNA proof. Excellent. Right now, Serafina throws out all her old assumptions. She needs to see the cold, hard facts. She gives Alaric a heavy look, saying there is no need, before turning and shooting Kalen a deep, telling glare. Serafina takes Ara's car keys and tosses them to Kalen, telling him to drive Ara's car. We will talk later. I have urgent matters to handle right now, she says, before ordering Kaya to drive away immediately. After her incredibly sudden exit, only Kalen and Alaric are left standing there completely confused. What just happened? Inside the car, Ara cannot help but point out that Sarah never cared about Kalen's tiny net worth. Kaya looks through the rearview mirror while driving, totally confused and dying to know what is going on. With a dark expression, Serafina mutters that she simply does not want another woman spending their marital funds. Then she remembers those social media posts from early this morning, and her sixth sense starts screaming at her. She looks at Ara suspiciously, asking why she is so obsessed with this divorce. Ara's heart stops as she laughs nervously. I just want you to find true love, Ara claims. But internally, she sighs, desperately wanting Kalen's assets. A golden opportunity finally arrived, only to slip away again. She can already imagine going home tonight to get scolded by her gorgeous 43-year-old mother, who absolutely adores Kalen. From the front seat, Kaya chimes in, agreeing that Kalen really does not have any money worth fighting over. There is no point wasting time. With your energy, you could easily make his entire net worth back 10 times over. Serafina sighs and whispers that they do not understand. Kaya sighs too, knowing the household register in her bag is useless. The room goes dead quiet. Serafina looks over and asks Ara if she remembers correctly that her family owns shares in the Sterling private hospital. Ara nods, saying it is not a lot. Serafina instantly orders Secretary Kalia to drive them to the Sterling hospital. She tells Ara she needs her to use that shareholder status to pull a secret DNA test record. Serafina is done playing messy mind games. She wants to charge straight in and seize the hard evidence. If she can confirm Kalen's inner voice is indeed completely accurate, crushing all those future schemes will be a total walk in the park. Some legendary Dragon King, a pampered wife, or traps in the housing project, she is pretty confident she can handle every bit of it. After all, she is the absolute queen who dragged the Vanguard Group back from bankruptcy in just 2.5 years. She can face anything. Meanwhile, totally clueless about her moves, Kalen and Eric are just squatting by the curb, sharing a smoke. Eric was the one who offered, and a depressed Kalen took it. To anyone passing by, they looked like two best buddies. He notes that Kalen has worked pretty hard these past 2 years. Kalen, cigarette dangling, just sighs deeply. Yeah, it is brutal. Kalen complains my back is killing me because Serafina is just too demanding. Even though he does not know why Eric is acting friendly, Kalen decides to strike a nerve first. Eric instantly stiffens up. See, he dated Serafina for 4 whole years in college, and they only ever held hands. No kissing allowed before marriage. Yet here's Kalen complaining about a sore back. Eric is absolutely seething, picturing her stunning figure and beautiful lips. Swallowing his sheer rage, Eric leans in and whispers for him to name his price to finally leave Serafina alone. Kalen's eyes light up. Making a quick fortune right before escaping sounds like the perfect plan. He thinks of it as collecting interest for the original owner. He tells Eric that since he offered, $1 billion should do. Eric just chuckles in disbelief. Is that really the limit of his ambition? He cannot help but mock him. He says he expected Colin to ask for a business project, since landing just one can easily secure hundreds of millions. Sensing the mockery, Kalen fires right back. He is too afraid those projects are booby-trapped to send him straight to prison. Eric's heart skips a beat. Kalen urges him to just wire the cash so he can vanish immediately with 0 delays. Suddenly, Eric's phone rings with terrible news. Serafina and Era just arrived at the hospital to pull the DNA records of Briar and the old chief executive. That panicked voice on the line makes Eric's head completely spin. What on earth is going on? Right next to him, Kaylin is just as stunned. Why is Serafina searching for a DNA test that was never in the original story? Do not give it to her, Eric screams in pure panic. That secret has been buried for over 10 years and cannot get out. What is it you do not want me to know, brother? Serafina's icy voice cuts through the phone, accusing him of yet another betrayal. Just you wait and see, she warns before hanging up. Eric stands frozen in absolute shock while Kaylin remains entirely baffled beside him. What is going on? Kaylin wonders, since this was never in the book. Meanwhile, Eric glares at him, snarling that this is just perfect. He accuses Kaylin and Serafina of putting on a massive show. Kaylin is lost, asking if he is crazy and why he is screaming. Eric sneers, telling him to stop acting. He believes Kaylin set this whole trap to stall him while Serafina went after those records. He grumbles that they won, but Kaylin just tilts his head, playing completely dumb. Storming off in a massive rage, Eric leaves Kaylin shaking his head, completely on guard now. And you know he is right, this is nothing like the original story, so he has to find a way to escape fast. Over at the hospital's DNA testing center, Serafina stares down grimly at the freshly printed report in her hands. The hospital directors and the medical staff stand to the side trembling in fear, while Ara's eyes are filled with absolute shock. This business world's most famously devoted husband actually cheated. His secret illegitimate daughter is the exact same age as his legitimate one. Serafina takes a deep breath, fighting down her rising fury. She orders Secretary Kalia to immediately have someone clean up the villa over at the Holy Spirit estate. Uncle Lee needs to personally bring a team to sweep it, and then inspect every car under her name daily. Kalia nods in agreement, still utterly shocked that the faithful family man actually cheated. Walking out to the car, Era quietly asks Sarah if this is all a bit of an overreaction. A cold, ruthless look flashes in Serafina's eyes as she asks why she wouldn't overreact. The Vanguard Group is worth hundreds of billions of dollars, making whoever controls it a massive, nationwide tycoon. Just running a couple of simple projects brings in more wealth than any normal person could earn in a dozen lifetimes. When that kind of money is on the line, people will do absolutely anything. Ara goes silent, it makes complete sense. Kaya softly asks where they should head next. Serafina's eyes flicker. Slowly, she tells her they are heading to the office to wait for guests. Meanwhile, once he is safely back inside his car, Alaric quickly dials Orion's number and warns him that they have been completely exposed. Serafina already knows about his secret ties to Briar. Over at the old manor, the still quite handsome Orion feels his heart sink in pure shock. Who leaked this? He roars. Alaric replies gloomily that he has absolutely no idea. Serafina and Kaylin totally played him. Alaric slowly explains the whole mess. Orion sighs, telling him they must proceed with their original backup plan anyway. They will wait and see if she actually accepts the massive resettlement project. If she wants to make money, that's their shot. If not, they'll find another opening. Alaric nods, hangs up, and immediately dials Briar's number. Meanwhile, Briar, looking pretty and pure in a white dress, like some unblemished lotus, is currently busy inspecting her factory. She spots the caller ID. She pauses, then quickly waves her staff out. With a sweet, delicate voice, she asks her brother Alaric what put him in the mood to call her today. That soft voice almost melts his heart, but he stays focused. He warns her that Serafina knows all about her secret connection to Orion. Briar giggles softly, asking what if she knows. At most, it just embarrasses her cheap dad, while Vanguard handles real estate. She runs beauty products, meaning they will never cross paths. Alaric nods. True enough. He warns her that inheriting the Ye family fortune might hit a serious snag. Briar only laughs playfully. She points out that new laws give illegitimate children full inheritance rights. Even if things crash, she can still claim half of the Ye family assets. Serafina is just a glorified wage slave. Alaric laughs loudly, calling her clever. He calls her his clever Briar, joking she learned it all from him. Hanging up, Alaric drives toward the Vanguard headquarters. Meanwhile, back at the Ye estate, Orion hangs up with an incredibly dark expression on his face. Gritting his teeth, a dark, vicious look flashes in his eyes. He mutters that Serafina forced his hand. Right after she leaves, Kaylin drives off. Getting into his car, he immediately spots a household register book left on the passenger seat. Kaylin literally bursts out laughing, wondering if she's actually planning to marry. To him, Serafina is racking up bad karma by dragging her away from a potential wedding. It gets funnier by the second. Suddenly, a memory from the body's original owner flashes. 18 months ago, Ara tried to seduce him, leading to them using a burner WeChat account. Kaylin's face turns green. This is another hidden plotline. The novel only recorded him leading Serafina's friends to confront the Dragon King and Briar after her tragic death. With that in mind, Kaylin quickly logs into that old burner account and is instantly stunned by a massive wall of unread messages. The first messages are from Era. He clicks them but immediately backs out because they're too spicy. Kalen hesitatingly sends a reply. He sends a simple received. Scrolling down, Kalen even spots Secretary Kaya's account. Kaya didn't send anything too wild, but her social feed looks pretty alluring. Scrolling further, he sees dozens of female friends. Most of them texted every few days. Kalen sighs, realizing he inherited a very different kind of massive fortune. After clicking through them, Kalen decides to post a quick selfie on his social feed. The original Kalen stayed pure for Serafina, but he won't. Once this divorce is final, he's going to let loose and go absolutely wild. Switching back to his main account, Kalen visits a phone store first. He buys a second phone to transfer the burner account and SIM card. Next, he drives over to the factory that the body's original owner built. It is a massive billion-dollar facility built for tech research and chip processing. Seeing this giant place, a weird thought suddenly pops into Kalen's head. Why did Serafina constantly claim the original owner lacked any real ambition? Was she totally blind to this billion-dollar factory? This isn't what lacking ambition looks like at all. Kalen shakes his head, focusing instead on the business. This microchip industry is highly lucrative, with an incredibly bright future. Unfortunately, the tech level here is quite similar to the one in his previous world. The local chip industry is lagging badly, and he regrets not majoring in microchips back then. But check this out. A brilliant idea sparks in Kalen's mind. He remembers that Draven, the future Dragon King, who would eventually target the Ye family, once desperately wanted to buy this very chip company. Draven spent a massive fortune trying to hire a top chip expert but failed miserably because that expert hated his brutal style. After that failure, Draven targeted Kalen through other cruel means. Stroking his chin, Kalen smiles knowingly. I remember that elite expert belongs to the capital's wealthy Lin family. He came all the way to Sapphire City searching for his kidnapped daughter. So, if I find his daughter first, I can easily secure his friendship and build a solid connection with the capital's powerful Lin family. Kalen has his goal lined up, but before his plan can even start, his phone rings. It is Serafina's grandfather, Tiberius. Why is this old geezer calling me? Tiberius is Serafina's deeply traditional grandfather. He absolutely hates Kalen, and he despises Serafina too because of his aggressively backward, patriarchal mindset. Still, Kalen answers. The old man demands that he tells that wretched girl Serafina to get back to the old manor for dinner tonight, because he has an announcement. Kalen just grunts. Searching through his knowledge of the novel, Kalen finds no mention of a dinner at the old manor. Whatever, it does not matter, but maybe I can use this dinner to finally shake off Serafina. Even though the old man is extremely sexist, he still transferred all his shares to her. She will probably listen to him. Arriving at the Vanguard Group headquarters, Kalen sits in the lobby sipping tea brought by a young receptionist while recalling the chaotic history of this massive company. The Vanguard Group is a century-old business empire. Originally, it belonged to the merchant guild owned by Serafina's grandmother's family. After her grandmother's relatives passed away, Grandpa Tiberius took over the business and completely renamed it. Over the last 40 years, the business weathered countless major storms. According to the older generation, ever since Tiberius changed the name, the company has been on a massive downward spiral. By the time Serafina's father, Orion, took over 20 years ago, it was already completely crumbling. Luckily, Orion married well. Madame Yehen brought her own startup and saved the Vanguard Group from collapsing. Throughout their 20-year marriage, they seemed deeply in love. Under Yehen's brilliant 20-year leadership, Vanguard reached its absolute peak, transforming from a simple regional business into a massive national conglomerate. But after Madame Yehen died, Orion took back the reins. It managed to thrive for 2 years before spiraling downward once again. Just 2.5 years ago, it nearly went bankrupt, only to be saved by Serafina. So, a local joke says the Ye family men are completely useless, while their women are hopeless romantics who constantly save them. Kalen quietly recalls the original novel's plot. Serafina's grandmother brought her entire family fortune into her marriage, only to die tragically from a sudden brain bleed. Everyone knows that with early treatment, it is highly survivable, especially for a wealthy family with a private, live-in doctor. Yehen worked herself to the bone for Orion, only to be murdered in a staged car accident orchestrated by Orion himself. He simply could not stand being labeled as a useless parasite anymore. Later on, Serafina, blindly in love with Alaric, is framed and thrown into prison by Alaric and her own father. 3 generations of Ye family women, all blinded by love, literally throwing their massive business empires away. Just as she steps out of the elevator, Serafina overhears Kalen's inner monologue, and her face instantly darkens. Walking right beside her, Ara sighs deeply, telling her that if she dislikes Kalen so much, she should just divorce him, instead of getting furious every single time they meet. Startled, Serafina realizes her mask slipped. True, but she refuses to let another woman spend her massive fortune. Ara rolls her eyes in secret, thinking that if Serafina divorces him, He will just spend her money instead, and she would be completely thrilled. Seeing Era next to Serafina, Kaylin smiles and approaches them, complimenting Era on how incredibly smooth her beautiful car drives. Ara acts totally aloof, suggesting he ask Serafina to buy him one, while internally screaming with absolute joy. She is thrilled Kaylin spoke to her first. Watching her little act, Kaylin laughs internally at how she plays cold while sending him spicy pictures every single day. Absolute, mind-blowing shock instantly flashes in Serafina's eyes. Her own best friend is backstabbing her. Honestly, guys, her vision goes dark and she almost collapses. Kaylin instinctively catches her, quickly pulling a piece of candy from his pocket and popping it into her mouth. This smooth, caring action surprises even Kaylin, a reflex left behind by the body's original owner. Ara, holding her other arm, looks on with pure envy. She envies a man who cares for her like that. Recovering, Serafina shoves Kaylin away, glaring at him with pure, murderous intent. Calling him a cheating scumbag, she looks at her best friend still clinging to her arm. Deep disappointment flashes in her eyes, but she ultimately just sighs. Kaylin is completely bewildered, wondering why she is acting so incredibly psycho. She clearly hates me, yet drags her feet on the divorce. Should I just offer to leave with zero assets? Serafina's face turns even blacker. She instantly swallows the question she wanted to ask. No way she is asking anymore. She will just drag this painful marriage out forever. She will never let their secret romance see the light of day, vowing to infuriate both of them to the absolute edge. Thinking this, Serafina pulls Kaylin close and lightly pecks him on the lips, apologizing for her attitude earlier and claiming she was just feeling incredibly stressed. She suggests they head back to the old manor right now, catching the quick flash of disappointment in Era's eyes. Just you wait, my dear best friend. At this very moment, the innate, petty wickedness deep inside Serafina's bones begins to grow wildly. She is already plotting 1,000 ways to ruin Era. Meanwhile, Colin is completely dazed. Why on earth did Serafina just kiss him? Fighting back tears, Ara quickly excuses herself and walks away from the happy couple. Kaylin watches Ara walk away and screams internally if Serafina had not shown up, Ara would still be right here. Seeing his misery makes Serafina happy, she grabs his hand and leads him out. She tells him they are heading to the family manor for dinner. She is definitely not the forgiving type. Ever since Alaric left 2.5 years ago, she absolutely refuses to tolerate betrayal from anyone, especially her husband. Ara heads home completely crushed. Seeing her state, Mother Shen immediately demands to know why her handsome son-in-law is not with her. Era spills everything, confessing that Serafina might have finally figured out her secret feelings for Kaylin. She kissed him right in public. It is their very first physical contact in 2.5 years. Mother Shen, a sharp corporate leader, looks at her daughter's teary eyes and agrees she might be onto something. She tells Era to just make a direct move on Serafina, leaving her daughter utterly shocked by the bold suggestion. Leaning back on the couch, Mother Shen calmly points out that her daughter simply cannot have it both ways. She must choose between friendship and love, unless Serafina is somehow willing to share Kaylin. Ara can only sigh in agreement. But check this out, a devious grin spreads across Mother Shen's face as she hatches a plan. Era looks up, asking what she means, while her mother smiles proudly. She explains how she analyzed their marriage, specifically comparing Kaylin's public reputation to what they secretly observe behind closed doors. Someone has been brainwashing Serafina into believing Kalin is useless, even though Mother Shen secretly holds him in high regard. 6.5 years ago, Kaylin became her husband, and everyone treated him like a total joke. But after marrying Serafina, he saved their crashing stock market and rescued the entire company, even traveling across the nation to personally inspect their plazas. He pioneered a strategy using new business ventures to rescue their older projects. By focusing on those plazas, he launched a major cinema chain and dominated the entertainment industry. For positive publicity, Kaylin had Serafina fund charity programs rescuing underprivileged young girls, earning the group an incredible reputation. This masterclass move single-handedly saved the dying corporate empire. But when malicious rumors claimed he was stealing the family fortune, Kaylin shocked everyone by stepping down. He quietly opened a chip factory, which let Serafina spin the narrative that her husband lacked any real ambition. However, Mother Shen was watching closely and knew that Chip Factory was easily worth over $1 billion. His secret investments in other firms were worth billions. He is an incredibly capable, highly charismatic man. What truly won Mother Shen over was his integrity. Like the time he protected a young girl from drunk thugs at a banquet, he shielded her without hesitation. Around that same time, he also stepped in and saved the Fang family from total bankruptcy. In return, their grateful patriarch tried to offer his daughter's hand to Kaylin, but Kaylin firmly declined, keeping everything strictly limited to business. Even 6 months ago, when Mother Shen had too much to drink, a passing Kaylin ensured she got home safe and sound. She is an incredibly stunning woman wanted by everyone, yet Kaylin took care of her all night without ever crossing a line. Remembering him making her hangover soup, she wanted to scream that Serafina was throwing away a 5-star husband. Honestly, it is mind-blowing. To Serafina, this absolute catch is just a useless loser. Mother Shen knows Serafina is being blinded, kept completely in the dark about her husband's true power by manipulative people around her. After all, Serafina is smart. But there might be another, much darker possibility. Perhaps Serafina is spreading those rumors herself to hide his value, though Mother Shen doubts she is that devious. She advises Ara to confess everything and reveal that Kalen's secret company is actually worth billions. Do not steal him, she says, just join them instead. Ara is completely stunned. She asks if her mother is seriously telling her to become a homewrecker, but Mother Shen just sneers. Ara still hesitates, wondering if Serafina would ever agree, but her mother insists she absolutely will. Since she just discovered her father's betrayal, she is completely paranoid. Now, go make your move. Driving her luxury SUV to the manor, Kalen is annoyed she did not just use her normal chauffeur. Beside him, Serafina's mood is miserable, her husband wants out, and her best friend of 22 years betrayed her. Her biological father is a cheater, while her childhood sweetheart is plotting her ruin. Plus, a secret illegitimate sister is watching from the shadows, and a dangerous future supervillain named Dragon King is targeting her. Serafina feels like the entire world is targeting her. Her phone dings, and she frustratedly picks it up. The text reads, "Serafina, I like Kalen, and I hope you let me join you." Serafina laughs out of pure anger. "Wow, you are straight up asking to join our marriage?" The reply comes, "Serafina, don't be mad, but Kalen's chip factory is worth over $1 billion. Knowing that, Serafina instantly suppresses her fury, sets her phone down, turns to Kalen, and slowly asks how much his company is worth. Kalen gives her a weird look, calling her completely bizarre. He is shocked she doesn't know his company's worth, wondering if she is testing him. Playing it cool, he replies it is a little over $1 billion. He also invested in classmates' startups, like a local paint factory, a steel cable factory, and a media company. With scattered shares added, that is another $1 billion, and he even holds stock in the Fang family business. He says if she wants a divorce, she can split those assets, but she snaps back that she just wants the divorce. A heavy surge of blood rushes to Serafina's head. She pulls out her phone, texting Secretary Kalia and Lyra, the young CEO of the Fang family, asking if they like Kalen. Kalia, who just got home, hesitates before texting back, "Yes, boss. I really like Kalen, and if you find that inappropriate, I can resign, but I will openly pursue him." She hopes for a blessing since Serafina doesn't like him, but Lyra replies, "Serafina, you're joking. Why would I like a petty man like Kalen? I only like powerful titans who can throw $100 million projects around with a simple wave of a hand." Over at the Fang group, Lyra sets her phone down in distress, wondering if that toxic Serafina knows something. When is she finally divorcing Kalen? Serafina sneers, remembering how Kalia always claimed Kalen had absolutely no ambition. And Lyra constantly calling Kalen petty and unmanly. They were all lying just to give her a terrible impression of her husband. Seriously, can you blame her for screaming internally? Her whole life was just a massive Truman show. Staring deeply at Kalen, she mutters to herself, "Sure, he is handsome, gentle, cooks amazing food, pampers his wife, tolerates her tantrums, and is deeply responsible. Why do so many women want him?" She sighs deeply. Serafina texts Lyra that she was just joking and suggests getting dinner, then tells Kalia there is no need to resign. As long as Kalia does not betray her, she can share Kalen, before finally texting Ara back, telling Ara they must form an alliance to ward off other rivals. Ara agrees, and at the Shen house, Mother Shen smiles. Everything is going to plan as Serafina puts down her phone, a sharp golden light flashing in her eyes. Looking at it from another angle, as long as she is successful enough, she can turn Kalen's harem of female friends into her own powerful allies. As a business leader, she always weighs the pros and cons, and after comforting herself, her gaze sweeps over Kalen. Remembering Kalen is still completely untouched, she decides to test him, given his massive circle of female friends. Clearing her throat, she asks, "Kalen, we have been married 2.5 years and I never asked. How many times has he dated before?" Kalen looks at her suspiciously, highly annoyed, since she is actually his first love. Why ask this out of nowhere? Just thinking about it pisses him off. He has dozens of female friends, yet kept his innocent streak for a woman who won't let him touch her. He feels insane, and needs to finally lose his virginity. Serafina's eyes light up, her mood soaring. She realizes Kalen still loves her, so she decides not to hold back. And right on cue, Kalen feels this sudden, icy chill in his chest, like a predator is watching him. They pull into the Ye family's old suburban manor, a massive estate covering 500 acres passed down from Serafina's grandmother. Grandpa Tiberius and Orion live here, and security opens the massive gate from afar. Kalen drives straight up to the main courtyard entrance, and the moment the car stops, a butler opens the door. The butler welcomes them home politely. Looking at the bustling staff, Kalen can't help but complain to himself. Everything is so extravagant, with endless security, butlers, and maids, plus the insane maintenance costs. No wonder he hates this place. If he could, he would donate the whole manor to a museum for business projects. Serafina hatefully mutters that this place has a personal vendetta against her, as the silent butler leads them inside. Walking through the classical garden architecture of the estate, they are led straight to the main hall. Before even entering, loud laughter echoes inside. Serafina's face immediately freezes, while Kalen smiles, knowing exactly who is there. There is Grandpa Tiberius acting like a cultured scholar in a tang suit, alongside Orion, the merchant. It is all family. Grandpa Tiberius's sister-in-law, Second Madam, strolls in with her grandson and a mysterious beauty carrying a baby. Wait, is that Serafina's cousin Silas, the weak-looking guy who handed his own wife to the Dragon King after failing to take over the Ye family? And that gorgeous young mother right next to him is his wife actually. It makes total sense. That same woman is actually Grandpa Tiberius's secret little mistress, and Serafina is completely shell-shocked. Honestly, this family is so incredibly messed up, you have to wonder what is actually going on with them lately. As they walk in, people start to stand up, but Grandpa Tiberius snorts coldly and gestures for everyone to stay seated. The old man grumbles with deep irritation, so you finally decided to show up without needing an official invitation. Talk about zero manners. Kalen rolls his eyes thinking how this old man acts like some ancient emperor. Welcome to the modern era. Serafina literally bursts out laughing at the burn, which absolutely infuriates Grandpa Tiberius. He snaps as a young woman, you see your elders and your fiancé, yet you laugh instead of bowing and serving tea. Kalen rolls his eyes again. Seriously, does he think they live in the ancient Qing dynasty? Serving tea when there are literally servants everywhere? But Kalen needs the old man's help to get a divorce, so he swallows his pride and agrees. Grandpa is totally right, even though his anxiety is spiking. In the original novel, Serafina gets framed and thrown into prison right at the start, completely cutting ties with this toxic family. The book never mentioned if they actually got along, so he can only pray she has some soft spot for him after receiving all those corporate shares. Serafina glances at Kalen, wondering how he manages to curse everyone out in his mind while looking so incredibly obedient. She definitely lacks that kind of patience. She grabs Kalen's hand, marches right into the living room, and sits down before their shocked faces. Speaking slowly, she demands to know, first of all, I've been married for nearly 3 years, so where is this supposed fiancé? Secondly, for a woman to serve tea to her elders, those elders actually have to exist. And in this family, she trails off with a cold scoff, making her point crystal clear as Grandpa Tiberius shakes with rage. Kalen just sighs. Welp, there goes any hope of relying on the old man. Across from them, Alaric stands up and speaks gently. Serafina, aren't Grandpa Ye and Uncle Ye your elders? And am I not your fiancé? Meanwhile, Second Madam's family cowers in the corner, with Silas quickly pulling his young wife behind his grandmother. Serafina acts completely surprised. Oh my, if it isn't my dear ex-fiancé who fled the country the exact moment the Ye family hit a crisis. Like, why are you crawling back to leech off us now that we've recovered? Absolutely brutal. Kalen is giving her a massive mental thumbs up, she is incredible. Meanwhile, the Sterling family's faces turn completely black. Serafina then turns her gaze toward Grandpa Tiberius and Orion, asking if this grandfather keeps a young mistress, and if her father cheated while his wife was pregnant. She looks back at Alaric. People lacking morals are unworthy of being called elders. Now the Ye family elders look utterly humiliated too. Watching Serafina go full scorched earth, Kalen cannot help but praise her. She is so incredibly cool. Since there are no real elders here to respect, Serafina lets her murderous gaze sweep across the room. We are talking about the dominant aura of a corporate tyrant who single-handedly saved a $100 billion empire. This instantly makes them realize she isn't some sheltered heiress they can easily intimidate. She is a powerful corporate overlord. Orion furiously barks at her. A child has no right to speak of a father's faults. Your education went straight to the dogs. His eyes are completely bloodshot, looking absolutely ready to kill. Kalen just watches in pure amusement. Their mental strength is total garbage compared to Serafina. She literally found out her dad cheated, and her childhood friend betrayed her, yet she didn't even flinch. Meanwhile, Serafina is speechless. Is he praising her or insulting her? Right then, Second Madam chimes in inappropriately. Serafina, what nonsense are you spouting? How could your grandfather possibly keep a mistress? Or your father have an illegitimate daughter? The Sterling family made a mistake back then, but they came here to apologize. Second Madam shoots a highly disdainful look at Kalen. Serafina, Kalen has lived with the Ye family for over 2 years and accomplished absolutely nothing. He is no match for you. Look at Alaric. Right after returning, he easily secured multiple major projects. To prove his sincerity, He just offered to give us that valuable northern city land at cost price, completely separate from the resettlement deal. Once demolition begins, our family can literally lie back and count the cash. Kaylin is deeply annoyed. Seeing second madam break the ice, Alaric smiles gently. He says, "Uncle, I only want what is truly best for you. As my apology, I will sell you that northern city land at cost." Alaric's mother frowns. Serafina. "Yes, our family made a mistake 2.5 years ago, but we are admitting our fault today." Glaring at Kaylin, she adds that as her aunt, she hates seeing her waste time on absolute trash. Kaylin's irritation reaches its absolute peak. Grandpa Tiberius snorts. "Serafina, I will overlook your ridiculous behavior from earlier. Think carefully about what to do." He casts a disdainful look at Kaylin, calling him trash, but Serafina only sneers. Kaylin has completely reached his limit. Seriously, he only came here to use these people for a divorce, not to get pushed around. Since Serafina clearly does not care about you, Kaylin steps forward, forcing her back into her seat. Scanning the room, he locks onto second madam first, telling her sarcastically that she is truly incredible. If he remembers correctly, her son Silas was an 8-pound baby born in July, premature by 3 whole months. If he went full term, he would be over 12 pounds. Serafina bursts out laughing, calling her uncle an illegitimate child. Did her second grandpa die of pure anger? She covers her mouth in mock panic, asking if she was not supposed to say that. She nervously tugs on Kaylin's sleeve, asking if they will hit her. Honestly, this exaggerated acting is totally Oscar-worthy. Kaylin loves it. Matching her energy, he tells his wifey not to worry because her hubby has got her back. Besides, seeing how Grandpa pampers Uncle, maybe he is actually his son. Grandpa Tiberius's face turns beet red as he roars. He raises a hand to strike. Kaylin sneers, knowing they hit a nerve, while Serafina flashes an equally freezing smile. This you family is incredibly filthy. Furious at being exposed, Grandpa Tiberius slumps back into his seat in defeat. Kaylin turns to Eric's mother with a tilted head, saying that while he might be trash, he never cheats. Unlike Uncle Sterling, who treats his media company like a brothel. Hearing this, Eric's father jumps up, screaming about rumors. He absolutely cannot admit this. Kaylin takes a step back, feigning terror and covering his mouth as he asks, "Really, if Sterling Media has no shady deals, how do girls with 0 acting talent and 0 fame keep landing lead roles?" Serafina plays along perfectly, walking up to Kaylin and hugging his arm. "Hubby, you would not even know." The elder CEO Sterling's famous line is that whoever he wants to make famous, gets famous. And then the next day, their disgusting casting couch scandal blew wide open. Enraged by the insults, Eric's father wants to fight. Eric's mother looks ready to attack, too. Watching the couple, Eric finally realizes they did not come here to make a deal. Taking a deep breath, Eric tells Sarah to stop because he sincerely wants to reconcile. Reconcile? What a total joke. Kaylin rages internally. If Eric is such a great guy, why did he not stay and fight alongside her 2.5 years ago? Even though Kaylin secretly fears the Dragon King, his sense of justice still wins out. Meanwhile, Serafina sweeps the room with a freezing glare. She spits out a cold, "Reconcile my ass," warning him to never act like they were actually together. Her swearing stuns the entire room into absolute silence. Even the butler who came to announce dinner is frozen in shock. Honestly, even Kaylin is completely left speechless by this wild attitude. Grandpa Tiberius, face bright red, points a shaking finger at Serafina, calling her completely disgraceful. Serafina completely ignores him, staring coldly at Eric. She mocks him, asking why a successful guy like him insists on marrying a divorced second-hand woman. Is he completely sick in the head? A flash of annoyance crosses Eric's eyes while his mother forces a fake smile, claiming this drama only proves how much her son loves her. Serafina laughs almost maniacally, a mocking smirk plastered on her lips. Love her. He loves her so much that he hid the fact that her dad had an illegitimate daughter just months younger than her. Eric suppresses his rising anger, claiming he only kept it quiet because he did not want her upset, planning to handle it secretly. Serafina tilts her head, demanding his phone. Everyone is deeply confused, and Eric's mother asks what she is trying to do. Serafina's eyes go dead cold. She just wants to call Briar right now to ask exactly how he planned to handle her. Serafina's aggressive move leaves the family humiliated while Eric tightly clenches his fists. He never expected Serafina to be this shameless and direct, completely tossing out the unspoken rules of high society. Seeing his son humiliated, Eric's father slams the table and stands up, roaring that the Ye family has gone way too far. He points a finger at her, screaming that if Eric did not love her, they would never marry a second-hand woman who gets drunk with other men. Talk about crossing the line. Murderous intent flashes in Serafina's eyes. Kaylin's expression darkens as he warns the old dog not to push his luck. Before Serafina can even react, Kaylin grabs a heavy fruit platter from the table and smashes it right over Eric's father's head. This sudden violence stuns everyone. Serafina can only stare in shock as Kalen casually rubs his wrist. Thinking her husband is so cool, Serafina watches Kalen kick the man to the floor and step heavily on his chest. Kalen looks down coldly, saying they have done nothing but insult his family and Sarah. He asks who the truly shameless ones are. Lying on the floor, the father roars in pure fury that he will kill him, while Eric snaps out of it and rushes forward. Serafina grabs a sharp shard from the broken fruit platter and points it right at him, warning everyone not to take a single step. Grandpa Tiberius and Orion frantically call for the guards, but as they approach, Serafina coldly reminds them that she pays their salaries. She guarantees that if anyone touches them today, they will never work in security again. Hearing that, the bodyguards freeze and slowly back out of the room. After all, the boss is whoever pays. Kane stares at Serafina in absolute shock. He realizes she is actually defending him. The novel showed she was pretty smart, but it never mentioned her having any real feelings for Kalen. Whatever. Kane grinds his foot harder into the man's chest, sneering and daring him to keep insulting his family. He warns that one more word will cave his chest in, sending him straight to the police station while the guy heads to the intensive care unit. Tomorrow's headline will read, Sterling family bullies innocent woman, husband fights back, sending the CEO straight to the hospital. Alaric's father swallows his words. He absolutely cannot be the face of that headline. Orion watches this total chaos and grits his teeth, demanding to know what exactly they are trying to do. Since they have clearly backed down, Serafina pulls Callan back to their seats. She slowly asks what was the actual point of dragging her and her husband here today. Demand it. Eric helps his father off the ground, taking a few deep breaths to keep his burning rage in check, forcing himself to sound gentle. Sarah, believe it or not, I genuinely love you and want to marry you. And watch her reaction here, it's beautiful. Serafina raises a mocking eyebrow, listing his endless betrayals before asking if he really thinks she is that stupid. Halen chimes in, noting they expect her to dump a husband who literally risked his life for her. Serafina gives Kalen an appreciative look and says, exactly. Ever the master schemer who ruined Serafina in the original book, Alarishik shrugs off the brutal insults, keeping his voice incredibly calm and gentle. To prove his sincerity, he offers to split the resettlement project 50-50 and sell her the valuable North City land at cost. If that is not enough, he is even willing to open all of Sterling Group's resources to Vanguard. Serafina impatiently cuts him off, stating she might be a romantic, but she is definitely not an idiot. That North City land is strictly zoned for residential housing, yet the country already has 5 times more empty houses than people. She questions if that is even a benefit. Eric firmly insists it is, claiming his family has powerful connections at the top. He explains the city is planning to transform North City into a massive economic development zone, meaning property values will skyrocket. Kalen looks at Serafina and laughs internally, thinking this guy is talking a massive game. The area will be developed, sure, but there is a massive ancient tomb buried right beneath that land. Serafina's eyes darken as she realizes it is just trap after trap. Eric clearly wants her ruined, but this time, Serafina does not snap. Instead, she casts a sharp look at Grandpa Tiberius and Orion before asking Eric a new question. She asks if she marries him, won't Vanguard become her dowry, since she holds 57% of the shares? Before Elliot can answer, Grandpa Tiberius steps in, asserting that if she marries Alaric, those shares naturally stay with the family. They want to hand them over to Silas. In fact, that is why they brought her here, as he plans to pass the family leadership to Silas. After all, she is bound to marry into another family eventually. Alaric closes his eyes in deep frustration, knowing Grandpa Tiberius is a massive idiot. Every ounce of the old man's brainpower was spent leeching off wealthy women. Serafina laughs coldly, stands up, and slams her hand on the table. Pass it to Silas. On what grounds? She demands. Grandpa Tiberius stubbornly replies, because Silas is the male heir of the family. Kalen rolls his eyes, knowing Silas is actually infertile, and the baby young Mill is holding is actually yours. Serafina sneers, asking why he did not hand it over 2.5 years ago. She tells them not to think she is blind to their plots. When Vanguard was on the brink of collapse, they dumped all the useless shares on her. They transferred all the valuable assets away for their retirement, leaving her to face the massive debt entirely alone. But now that Vanguard is highly profitable again, they want to throw her out and hand it to their favorite. A dangerous, icy look flashes in her eyes. She tells them to keep dreaming. As long as she is alive, she will never surrender what is in her hands. She commands her husband to follow. Now knowing the real trap of this setup, Serafina turns to leave. Kalen looks back at the old man and Orion with a smug grin. Serafina has turned dark early. These guys are completely finished. Kalen recalls that in the original novel, shortly after Serafina was released from prison and went full villain mode, these two died in a brutal car crash. He had actually hoped some family bonds still remained that he could leverage to secure a clean divorce. What an absolute disappointment. Just before stepping out, Serafina turns back to Eric with pure disdain, letting him know there is an ancient tomb buried under that North City land. Eric's eyes widen in sheer horror. It is over. From this day forward, they are officially sworn enemies. Callan is shocked, wondering how she knew. A smirk plays on her lips, because she secretly has him as her ultimate cheat code. Once the three of them leave, the entire main hall falls into a pretty awkward silence. After being tormented enough for one night, Eric looks at Grandpa Tiberius and sighs. He asks what they should do now, since their original plan is completely ruined. Grandpa Tiberius looks at Eric, sneering mockingly. Orion speaks up confidently from experience, telling them not to worry. He reminds them that Yihen was just as aggressive back then, but still gave the shares back. He assures Eric that their partnership is safe, and Serafina won't be an obstacle. Eric nods. Just then, a woman in a white dress walks in, looking like a pure lotus blooming from the mud, asking why the living room is such a mess. Seeing her, Eric's eyes light up. As Briar enters, Eric's mother steps forward to welcome her. Grandpa Tiberius and Orion's expressions soften quite a bit. Even Silas, who was keeping a low profile, respectfully leads the young lady forward. With Silas calling her sister Briar, she truly looks like the legitimate daughter of the Ye family. Now watch how she acts. Briar sits right next to Grandpa Tiberius after gently greeting everyone. She softly tells her grandfather that Serafina has sacrificed too much for the company, which is why she's too agitated to let go. Grandpa Tiberius snorts, while Orion mutters that Briar is just far too kind. To them, Serafina is just blinded by greed and deserves zero sympathy. Grandpa Tiberius tells Briar she has no idea. He claims Yihen raised Serafina with that same low-class, greedy bloodline, making them both pathetic. Hearing this, a spark of anger flares in Briar's heart. She wonders why lower-class people are automatically labeled greedy. Then, the second madam smiles, praising Briar as the best. She always sees the big picture, even yielding everything to Silas right from the start. Eric's mother beams as well, adding that Briar is a wonderful cook. Marrying Eric would be a massive win-win for both families. They get a family-oriented daughter-in-law, and they will claw back the shares Serafina took. Grandpa Tiberius takes a deep breath, his tone icy and murderous, saying that Serafina is simply too full of herself. He warns that the Ye family gave her life, and can easily take it back. Meanwhile, Briar stands aside, making a silent decision. Once she gets what she wants, she is running far away from these psychos. Neither the Ye nor the Sterling family treats her like real family. Outside the Grand Manor, Kaylin and Serafina walk with pretty heavy expressions. Stepping out, they realize their car is completely gone. Worse yet, the butler and all the bodyguards have vanished from this huge 500-acre estate. How long is it going to take to walk to the parking lot? Hearing Kaylin complain in his head, Serafina silently grabs his hand. Kaylin immediately panics, thinking this toxic woman is making him dirty, but Serafina just grips tighter, and he does not pull away. Maybe her hand is just too soft, or he cannot pull away. Slowly, he stops resisting. Under the moonlight, they look so gorgeous that the night sky seems like a backdrop. Staring at the moon, Serafina remembers Kaylin beating up Eric's father just to defend her. She remembers how they fought side by side to save Vanguard 2.5 years ago. She reflects on Kaylin's meticulous care all these years, before softly apologizing. This sudden apology immediately puts Kaylin on high alert. A toxic woman saying sorry is definitely a trap, and he must stay careful. His pure wariness actually amuses Serafina. She continues anyway, proposing that once they settle things with the Ye family, they should visit his hometown and meet his parents. Her voice softens. A proactive peace offering from her is definitely a trap in his book. He wonders if she is trying to squeeze the last drop of value from his family. Serafina's face darkens, but Kaylin decides to kill the idea immediately. Firmly, he says no. Serafina frowns with a dangerous glint, asking him why. Without a valid reason, the queen will be furious at this rejection. He simply tells her that her background is not good enough. Serafina is totally stunned. What does that even mean? Flipping through his memories, Kaylin silently complains. He thinks she really does not qualify. To put it simply, his family carries some serious red heritage. His 110-year-old great-grandfather was a founding nation builder. His grandfather was a high-ranking military officer who fought in major wars and later went northwest to secure oil for the country, becoming part of the first generation of oil workers. His family has literally bled on the front lines. They are a family forged in blood and hardship. To his ancestors, Serafina's family is just a petty merchant clan full of backstabbers, not even worth a glance. Kaylin thinks this original background is pretty incredibly badass. Too bad, he died early in the novel. But wait, hearing these wild thoughts, Serafina is absolutely frozen in shock. She had absolutely no idea, but honestly, she feels she cannot be blamed. When Kaylin first went to college, he spoke with a thick rural accent and carried a woven sack for his bedding like a total country bumpkin. He has a pretty solid set of traits: lean muscles, bronze skin, and this deep, calm confidence. But they decide to drop the whole meet the parents talk for now. Walking slowly, they make their way to the parking lot. Seeing that single G-Wagon sitting there, a weird, dark look flashes in Serafina's eyes. Kaylin, she asks, are you scared of dying? Will you walk into hell with me? Hell no, Kaylin says, looking at her like she's crazy. What are you talking about? It's just a casual drive, why bring up hell? Did someone cut the brakes? Serafina just nods calmly and climbs inside. Well, you can wait for Secretary Kalia to fetch you. He panics. Wait, what? You're leaving me here alone? Are you trying to get me killed? Kaylin rolls his eyes at her absolute coldness. He just trash-talked the entire Ye family, and now she wants to dump him here by himself? They would shred him. Instantly, Kaylin leaps right into the passenger seat. Serafina is incredibly touched by this. See, actions speak louder than words, and he is proving himself right now. Seeing him decisively choose to ride with her, she feels completely overwhelmed with emotion. The moment that G-Wagon rolls past the manor gates, a guard quickly fires off a text message. Inside, Grandpa Tiberius catches Orion's eye and nods. Orion glances at his phone to send his own message, then looks up with a fake, friendly smile for Silas. Silas, when you step into the Vanguard group, work hard. Prove the Yi men have actual talent, and that we don't just lean on our wives. Grandpa Tiberius gives Eric a warm look, saying their families are merging soon, so he needs to treat Briar well and support Silas. Briar's brow twitches. Grandpa, she says, Sister Serafina won't let Silas join the company. Isn't it too early to plan this? Tiberius chuckles darkly. That wretched girl is no match for me. She's all bark and no bite. Look at this, things are about to get incredibly intense on the highway. Instantly, the memory of her mother's fatal crash floods back. Pouring rain. A crushed car. Cold bodies. Kaylin, she whispers, are you scared? Kaylin shoots her a terrified look. Why are you bringing that up right now? Wait, did the brakes really go out? She chuckles. They're gone. Kaylin's eyes widen. Are you serious right now? Her death is supposed to happen way later in the original novel. Why is it happening now? She just laughs louder. Oh, so that's how I go down in the book, she says. Right on cue, heavy rain starts pouring. Kaylin gulps. Is this world seriously trying to end me? Fine, you win. But if I make it, whoever did this is getting shredded. Kaylin, I'm so sorry. If we walk away from this, I will give you my absolute best self. Feeling the heavy car shake as she makes emotional promises, Kaylin screams, stop talking like that and just drive. Glancing in the mirror, she spots a truck tailing them closely, its tires sinking into the slick mud. A wild thrill sparks in her eyes. Sending amateurs to do their dirty work just proves their guilt. Honestly, she is incredibly glad she wasn't driving fast down this stretch. She is thankful the manor sits in the countryside with soft, empty fields lining the route. And the heavy rain is a blessing, turning the dirt to mud. Spotting a tractor, she aims the SUV and slams right into it. The heavy G-Wagon screeches to a halt. The airbags deploy with a violent blast, leaving both of them completely dazed. Fighting the haze, she manages to pull out her phone, sends her live location to Kalia, and passes out cold. Kaylin's very last thought before slipping away? He hasn't even lost his virginity in this life yet. Then, sirens wail. Kalia rushes to the scene with the police and an ambulance, getting them both to the hospital in record time. By midnight, social media absolutely explodes. Reports flood the feeds that CEO, Serafina, a top-tier young entrepreneur, and her husband Kaylin are in critical condition. And the crash happened right after they drove out of the Yi family manor. Users instantly dig up her mother Yi Hen's old crash records, linking it to rumors of the useless Yi men and corporate documents. Crazy theories spread, accusing Grandpa Tiberius, Orion, and the Sterling family of plotting an actual murder. And watch how fast the tables turn. Footage of the police taking them away trends instantly. Paparazzi leak photos of Alaric's family and Briar fleeing the manor. The web is flooded with rumors. Sleazy marketing accounts start working extreme overtime. Without even spending a dime on publicity, the conspiracy goes totally viral. The next morning, Serafina opens her eyes. Sitting by her bedside are Kalia and Era, looking completely exhausted. She smiles, thinking they are still her best friends, despite wanting her man. Ara's worry vanishes. Kalia silently hands her a tablet. Seeing the footage of her father and grandfather being taken by police, she laughs wildly. Her insane gamble actually worked. Kalia pushes up her glasses and reports that Uncle Lee already sent the vehicle inspection records to the police. The truck driver is in custody, and turns out he has cancer with elderly parents and kids to feed. How pretty cliché. Serafina complains internally but speaks quite slowly. I have plenty of money, so send some to his family. Desperate people always keep records. That's the evidence. Next, throw my grandfather and father in prison, and leave me a clean Yi family. Serafina's lips curve into a cold smirk. Ever since getting that summons to the old manor yesterday, she had been making plans. Using herself as bait was a given. Only a full-blown attempted murder charge could lock them away forever. Why? Because Serafina always suspected her mother's crash was no accident. She lacked concrete proof, but suspicion was enough to prepare. The outcome is totally perfect. They walked right into her trap. Kalia leaked the DNA test of Briar and Serafina's father. While investigating the relationship between Grandpa, the second madam, and that young mistress Silas brought along. Kalia's eyes widen, and Ara chimes in Serafina. Grandpa is so old, he couldn't possibly have a young mistress, right? It's hard to believe. Serafina rolls her eyes. You are actually capable of liking Colin. Why can't he like a pretty young woman and manipulate his own son to inherit Vanguard? Ara shuts up, and Serafina continues. If everything goes as expected, buy some media articles claiming the Sterling Group was involved in the murder plot since they were present at the manor. Finally, write some sob stories about Eric and Briar being true lovers, thwarted by the older generation, and Eric framing his ex-fiancée Serafina just to make Briar the Ye family heir. Then, release a statement that she personally called the police to arrest her own family for justice. Upholding the law and not shielding criminals is just her duty as a citizen. Demand a thorough investigation. Serafina's stance is pretty crystal clear. Destroy all external threats. Returning to Vanguard Group, Kalia immediately starts executing the plan. Alaric, seeing the news accusing him of conspiracy to murder, almost vomits blood as Sterling Group's stock plummets. Furious shareholders flood his phone, asking if he's totally lost his mind. Talk about a genius play. Serafina's image as a strong, righteous leader causes Vanguard stock to skyrocket like crazy. That public support is seriously powerful. Vanguard shareholders advise Serafina to rest up while using their own massive networks to squeeze the Sterling family, Orion, and Grandpa Tiberius. Briar remains totally indifferent. Since her company isn't public, she still lives quite freely. Under immense public pressure, the police investigate the crash with absolute lightning speed. Under Kalia's massive financial assault, the truck driver and the manor staff confess everything. Orion and Grandpa Tiberius go straight to jail. The evidence chain is solid, and attempted murder is fully established. Furthermore, Serafina requests to reopen her mother's car crash case. Hearing this in prison, the two men panic because that case involves a death sentence. If convicted, they will never see the light of day again, so they desperately demand to see Serafina. Serafina, bearing her injuries, goes to see them. I can let you off, but all assets under your names must be transferred to me. Write your wills. Faced with Serafina's incredibly icy demeanor, the two have absolutely no choice but to submit. They don't want to rot in prison forever, and Serafina nods in satisfaction. She signs a letter of forgiveness right in front of them, withdraws the request to reopen her mother's case, and plays the family card. She promises she can't bear to see them suffer, and will find a way to get them out. The two men laugh. A woman is just a woman, not ruthless enough. Meanwhile, the truck driver, housed in the same block, meets up with his parents and wife. Son, Boss Serafina is a saint. She gave us $5 million each on our own cards, bought 2 houses for the kids, and set up an education fund. Little Treasure is going to a bilingual international kindergarten now. Your dad and I also got jobs as cleaners at Vanguard, making $10,000 a month. Our good days are here. Looking at his mother's tearful eyes, the truck driver clenches his fists. 10 days later, Kaylin and Serafina are finally discharged from the hospital. Time to go. We are attending a funeral, Serafina says, holding Kaylin's arm with a sweet smile. Kaylin's face is sour after surviving that near-death experience. He can't even blame her, which is just annoying, because she did ask if he was willing to walk through the gates of hell. He refused, but got dragged in anyway. Can't blame anyone else. Whose funeral is it anyway? Kaylin asks, totally confused. Serafina smiles sweetly. My dad and Grandpa's. They couldn't agree on the final prison payment with that truck driver, so they got shanked. Insane, right? Kaylin is silent. I bet my life you arranged that. At the funeral itself, Serafina cries an absolute river. Briar is also invited, standing to the side with a lifeless, broken expression, while Draven, the Dragon King, stands nearby supporting Serafina. Kaylin sits down and glances at Draven. So this is the Dragon King. Much more handsome than he looks on television. Hearing this, Serafina looks up at Draven. So he's the Dragon King. He doesn't really look all that strong. He does not look like he has the guts to kill me. Meanwhile, guests smirk at Briar and Eric like they are complete jokes. Everyone already knows Orion and Grandpa Tiberius left everything to Serafina, leaving Briar without a single dime. Do not underestimate this inheritance. The villas, luxury cars, private assets, stocks, and funds add up to 3 or 4 billion. Even high society tycoons pulling in millions a minute would not sneeze at billions in pure liquid assets making thousands daily in bank interest. That is literally a normal monthly salary. People whisper that Serafina is ruthless and unhinged while Briar was simply too weak. Near the end of the funeral, the second madam suddenly steps up, demanding a massive slice of the inheritance for her young son Silas. Serafina asks her publicly, "What is Silas's legal relationship to my grandfather and father? What is the connection between this kid, this woman, and my family? First, you are not on our household registry. Second, you are not direct relatives. Third, there is no will naming you. On what legal grounds are you demanding these assets? Your sheer audacity?" When someone tries to play peacemaker and asks Serafina to show some mercy, she suddenly bursts into loud, dramatic wails. Sobbing loudly, she cries that she is just a weak girl who lost her family, and now a greedy mob is trying to rob her. First, an illegitimate sister, barely 2 months younger than me. Now, some random kid claiming to be my grandfather's uncle. Are you trying to drive me to the grave? Do you even know how massive the monthly payroll is for Vanguard? Her sudden flood of tears and fragile act leave the fake peacemakers too embarrassed to say another word. You won't believe where they end up next. After the funeral, Serafina drags Kalen to a rancid suburban ditch. Kalen grumbles silently. Ignoring his attitude, Serafina grabs 2 heavy boxes from her car. "I know you despise my trash father and grandfather, so I'm letting you get some personal payback." Kalen is no fool. Staring at the packages, he is completely dumbfounded. Is she actually serious about this? She smiles. "It is exactly what you think. We just buried empty milk powder cans today." Kalen looks at the boxes, eyes the dirty ditch, and unleashes a perfect kick. "That is for trying to run me over." Turning to the second box, he steps back, letting Serafina do the honors. She kicks it hard. "That is for your toxic patriarchy." As the boxes drift in the filthy water, Serafina silently bids her dead family farewell. "I did not just inherit my mother's foolishness and love, I also got your absolute ruthlessness." On the drive back to the estate, Kalen focuses on the road while Serafina sits in silence. Neither says a word. She watches his reflection in the mirror, wondering if he appreciated the gesture. Honestly, it does not even matter. A far bigger gift is waiting for him tonight, starting with payback for his 2.5 years of care. More importantly, she actually wants him now. During her hospital stay, she ran a massive background check on him. His family is so incredibly powerful that his elders' identities are classified. She only found out through old college emergency contact sheets. He is incredibly handsome, still topping his old university's lists of the most attractive men. With a gentle personality like his, even when asking for a divorce, he never got aggressive, only discussing things calmly. His business talents are off the charts, building a billion-dollar tech company with his own research in just 2.5 years. He is virtually flawless. Over the years, countless women, from wealthy heiresses to sweet girls and mature widows, tried to seduce him. Every single one was rejected. When she found out, Serafina nearly exploded with pure, possessive rage. Unbelievable. These were the exact same women who gossiped with her and complained about Kalen, like that famous rich widow she trusted as a close confidant, who was secretly drooling over her husband. Serafina finally realizes they were all fake friends, and Kalen is the only person who has ever truly cared for her. And trust me, she is not waiting around. She wants to deliver this second special gift to him immediately. If this surprise does not kill his desire for divorce, she will use the ultimate strategies her mother shared, like partnering with Secretary Kelia for a beautiful CEO and sexy secretary office fantasy, or teaming up with Alara for a bestie combo, or even bringing Mother Shen in. Serafina knows Kalen cannot resist that. Thinking about it, she blushes. Catching this, Kalen sighs to himself. Why is this crazy girl blushing out of nowhere? Serafina is secretly annoyed. Why am I blushing? You will find out tonight. Meanwhile, Kalen slips back into his own heavy thoughts. With Serafina turning dark way too early, his clash with Draven the Dragon King might happen much sooner now. I have to finalize this divorce fast. What is my next move? Beside him, Serafina seethes, wondering why he is so terrified of this Dragon King. Honestly, I do not buy that. Wait, I have an idea. My phone is literally packed with gorgeous women, so if I just act like a total playboy, Serafina is bound to divorce me. No woman tolerates a cheater, except me. I actually can. Serafina laughs to herself with absolute disdain. Honestly, you are incredibly naive. You have zero clue how wild a love-obsessed person can get, just like my mom. Seriously, did you actually think she had no idea Briar existed? Tonight, Serafina decides she will teach Kalen a lesson. Convinced he found his ticket to freedom, Kalen happily drives off, planning his amazing future. Once we split, I will pretend to sell the factory and run it from the shadows. Next, I just need to locate that capital expert's lost daughter, and then I will make a massive fortune in the microchip industry. Serafina is completely baffled. Making a fortune in microchips? From what she knows, their local microchip industry is basically a dead end, lagging far behind global tech. But still, she makes sure to write that detail down. I recall the expert is currently staying with the Hua family in Sapphire City. The real issue is dealing with Draven. He is definitely going to block me, so how do I cut him off? Just thinking about Draven gives Kaelin a massive headache. Seriously, who could have guessed that Draven was actually a real wealthy heir, switched at birth by some crazy nanny, only to meet a bunch of hidden masters out in the countryside? He learned Taoist magic, miraculous medicine, antique appraisal, and even got some ridiculous Dragon King token. It is just absurdly overpowered. But what is even crazier is the completely ruthless villain, Seraphina. Despite being just a mid-game boss, she almost ended Draven. Look at her right now. Kaelin cannot help but steal a glance at Seraphina in her sheer black dress, looking incredibly stunning. Seraphina quietly memorizes Draven's details. This is absolutely crucial for her future. This finally explains how Draven started his medical tech company and where he got all his cash. Dragon King Palace? Never heard of them. She wonders if they can actually stand against the government's military. What makes Seraphina happiest is knowing Kaelin believes she almost succeeded in killing Draven. Since it was a close call, it means it is actually possible. Well, she thinks, I just need to see if I can deal with Draven after this divorce. Kaelin thinks to himself, current mission, locate the expert's missing daughter. But what is her tracking item? That stupid author never even wrote it down. The book just says he accidentally bumped into her while getting street food. Some dramatic glance in the dark? Give me a break. Kaelin's excitement instantly vanishes. Seraphina smiles to herself as the ride continues. Feeling the sudden silence, Kaelin realizes things are getting pretty awkward. Remembering the original owner's awkward habits, he speaks up, saying, Seraphina, the cops in Sapphire City are incredibly fast. They wrap that case up so fast. Right after speaking, Kaelin finally gets why the original host stayed single for years without ever making any progress. With terrible social skills like that, no girl would ever like him. Seraphina scoffs with pure disdain. It is not that they are fast, it is all thanks to my huge investments over the last 2 years. Giving Kaelin a meaningful look, she decides to puff up his chest, saying she cannot speak for other cities, but here in Sapphire City, she is basically the underground queen. Staring at her arrogant face, Kaelin instantly recalls a famous television quote, I spent tons of cash and supported so many people in Jinghai over the years, all for this exact moment. Oh my god, the novel never mentioned she was in the mob, Kaelin screams inside. Meanwhile, Seraphina's expression turns cold, wondering who on earth said she was in the mafia. I simply pay my taxes on time, fund poverty programs, help troubled youths, and make massive donations to local authorities. Annoyed, she shoots him an angry glare but cannot explain herself out loud. Finally, the car pulls up to the Holy Spirit Estate Villa. Following the original owner's routine, Kaelin gets out to open her door and helps her walk inside. He then heads off to park. Returning to the front door, he shuts it with a thud, takes 2 massive deep breaths, and mutters Amitabha twice. Opening the door once more, Kaelin looks at Seraphina resting under the warm lights. She is sitting on the couch, radiating this incredibly captivating, fragile widow vibe. Kaelin's mouth twitches, asking her what on earth she is doing playing these weird games. Look at her act. Do you even know what you are doing? Seraphina acts helpless, laughing hysterically inside. Mother Shen was so right. Watching dozens of those fragile widow movies in the hospital is finally paying off big time. The emotional damage is incredibly real, and this is her second big gift to Kaelin. Gently wiping away a fake tear, Seraphina speaks up in a weak, trembling voice. My sister is gone, my grandfather is gone, my father is also gone, and now all my relatives are trying to steal my family assets. What should I do? Kaelin immediately feels his testosterone spike. Seeing this gorgeous woman under the warm lights, wearing a sheer black dress that shows off her legs, looking up with teary eyes and begging for his help. Man, I cannot hold back anymore, Kaelin screams inside, keeping his face totally stiff. Seraphina lets out a subtle smile, quickly hiding it away. She slowly walks closer, intentionally trips, and falls right into his arms. Looking up with helpless eyes, she asks if her brother-in-law can help her. I am ready to give you absolutely everything, she whispers. Kaelin completely loses his mind. Right now, he does not care about her villain status in the book, or the threat of the Dragon King. He just wants to die a happy man under her spell. At 9 p.m., the delivery guy rings the bell and leaves the groceries outside. As the motorcycle motor fades away, Kaelin cracks open the door. Sporting fresh scratches all over his bare shoulders, he grabs the bags and slams it shut. He spots Seraphina lying on the couch, her body barely covered by shreds of torn fabric, while she stares blankly at the ceiling. Kaelin smirks. His stamina is still pretty monstrous. Ready to give up yet? She tried to seduce him, and now she is facing the consequences. Seraphina slowly turns her head, staring with haunted, exhausted eyes. Her voice is hoarse. Put on my medicine and cook. I haven't lost yet. Kaelin just rolls his eyes. He pulls the first aid kit from the bags, scoops her up, and carries her upstairs. He simply couldn't help himself. After transmigrating about 2 weeks ago, He inherited a body that had been suppressed for over 20 years. Once those floodgates opened, his energy became endless. Plus, growing up in the oil fields made his physical stamina absolutely elite. In all his excitement, Serafina, a complete novice trying to play the vulnerable widow card, she was completely overwhelmed and ended up covered in bruises. Kalen carries the stubborn-mouthed Serafina into the bathroom, washes her himself, gently applies some ointment, and tucks her right into bed. He gently promises to bring her food up shortly, then heads downstairs to cook. They had arrived home at 6 p.m., ending a solid 2.5-hour intense cardio session. Once Kalen leaves, Serafina forces herself up. Even walking brings a sharp sting. Absolute madness. Did people not say a first time is quick? Why was this a relentless hurricane? Afterward, Serafina walks to the closet, opens it, and stares at the sheer nightgowns. A phrase pops into her mind. Her sister always said purple is incredibly alluring. Slipping into the sheer purple nightgown, she twirls right in front of the mirror. She opens the bedside drawer and pulls out massage essential oils, a blazing fire igniting in her eyes. As the powerhouse CEO who rebuilt the Vanguard Group and led it to prosperity over 2.5 years, she refuses to accept defeat. Down in the dining room, Kalen happily hums a tune while frying up beef and lamb chops, juicing fruits, and boiling goji berry soup. Before transmigrating, Kalen once read a history book claiming that the legendary ancient scholar Ji Shaolin simply could not live without meat or women. He ate 2 pounds of beef and lamb daily, lived to 82, and even took a 15-year-old concubine at 65. A Taoist priest Kalen met later on claimed the scholar's strength came entirely from eating beef and lamb every single day. And check this out, after frying up the chops, Kalen turns around and instantly freezes. Serafina, dressed in that sheer purple nightgown, is perched on the dining table, her long pale legs dangling and swinging. Under the lights, the white glow beneath the sheer fabric is teasingly visible, as she asks if he wants to eat the meat first, or her. That soft, seductive voice, and the sight of her legs make Kalen gulp, but he fights down the fire, sets the plates down, and gently tells Sarah she is injured. She needs to rest, but Serafina just slides off the table, strutting right toward him. She gently traces his abs, and whispers in his ear that her study materials say a multi-pronged approach is king, so he should not worry. Kalen gulps hard, suggesting they eat the. Serafina giggles. Grabbing a glass of juice, she sways her hips as she walks over to the table and pulls out a chair. Kalen suppresses his anger and sits. Serafina whines about her hard chair. What should she do? He just asks, what does she think she should do? Sit on me? Oh, absolutely. Hearing Kalen screaming on the inside while holding back makes Serafina feel purely ecstatic. He loves her way too much to ever hurt her. With that thought, Serafina sits right down. Later that evening, Kalen devours 2 beef chops, 2 lamb chops, and 3 glasses of juice. Serafina only eats 1 of each and sips on a glass of milk. She mentioned she disliked juice anyway. The next morning, Secretary Kalia steps inside and blushes bright red, spotting the shredded black morning dress and a torn purple silk nightgown scattered on the living room floor. Kalen finally manages to drag himself out of bed, walking downstairs and immediately flushing when he sees Kalia. Sorry, please excuse this mess. I will tidy it up right now. Kalia shakes her head, acting totally casual while offering to help sweep, mop, and wipe the tables. Kalen finishes cleaning up and starts making breakfast, while Kalia heads upstairs to the bedroom. Once she opens that door, wow, the room is a complete wreck, with Serafina just chillin' on her phone. Seeing Kalia, she pats the space next to her, making Kalia sigh in annoyance. If I had known things were like this, I never would have come. Watching the man she loves being close with someone else agitates Kalia, but it also triggers a strange, unstoppable thrill. Serafina smiles and says, honestly, well, you had better get used to it. Kalia is stunned at this completely bizarre turn of events. Serafina puts down her phone and grabs Kaya's hand. I lost last night. Pack your bags and move in today, she says. I already texted you. Talk about a shocker. Kaya feels completely dizzy. Is her boss testing her loyalty right now? Serafina just blushes, shyly lowering her head and looking away. It's no test, Serafina blushes. I really want you to move in. Kaya just frowns, totally baffled. Serafina sighs deeply. I'm just a hopeless romantic. Kaya is completely baffled. What does that even mean? Because my brain is completely wired for love, Serafina admits. Kalen treats me so well, I can't let him deal with his burning desires all by himself. I want his absolute best. Serafina once thought that ancient queen sacrificing everything for a man was completely insane. But now, she gets it. Giving away a kingdom for love, Serafina mumbles, her lips curving into a self-mocking but totally shameless smile. I used to think those historical figures were absolute fools. But now, I completely understand. She looks at her secretary, Kaya, her eyes burning with a fierce, intense energy. It's the possessive ambition of a top-tier corporate queen. I'm a businesswoman, Kaya. I don't give away my empire. I expand it. And right now, Kalen is part of my empire, but his stamina is way too massive for one person to handle. I need reliable partners to secure the asset. Kaya's brain completely short-circuits. You heard that right, this ruthless CEO is literally treating her husband's stamina like a major corporate merger requiring a joint venture. But staring into Serafina's intense eyes, and remembering Kalen's handsome smile and shredded physique cooking downstairs, Kaya slowly pushes up her glasses. Her professional instincts kick in. Understood, boss, Kaya says, her face blushing bright red, but her voice completely steady. I will handle this asset allocation with maximum efficiency. Downstairs, the doorbell rings. Kalen, wearing a cute pink apron over his shirt, opens up. He's instantly greeted by a massive pile of designer luggage. And there stands Alara in a stunning red dress, holding a bouquet of roses. Surprise, Alara cheers. Serafina said the guest room was free. Then she practically shoves her way inside. Kalen stands frozen, spatula in hand. Inside his head, red alerts are blaring. What is going on? Why is she moving in? And why is Kaya walking downstairs with her own overnight bag? Did I transmigrate into a survival horror story? Or a harem comedy? Serafina glides down the stairs, lightly touching the railing, but completely radiating absolute dominance. Hearing his silent panic, Serafina smiles sweetly. Hey hubby, Kaya and Alara are going to be staying with us for a while. Just to help around the house, she says. Help with what? My stamina? No, wait. Serafina is a complete control freak. She must be monitoring me so I can't hide any assets before the divorce. What a scheming woman, Kalen panics. Serafina's smile twitches slightly, but she gracefully sits down at the table. Keep thinking that, my sweet little idiot, she thinks. You will discover the real workload tonight, over the next 3 months. Now watch this. The original storyline of the Dragon King's pampered wife goes completely off the rails from here on out. Kalen's master plan to divorce her and escape completely crumbles. Whenever he brings up the paperwork, Serafina either distracts him with joint venture team-building exercises involving Kaya and Alara, or simply buries him in massive business proposals. Even worse, Kalen slowly realizes he doesn't even want to run anymore. The real turning point comes when Kalen tries desperately to find the chip expert's missing daughter before Draven does. He's pulling his hair out in his home office, lacking the shady connections needed to search Sapphire City's slums. That's when Serafina calmly walks into his room, tossing a thick folder onto his desk. Inside is a DNA report, a photo of a girl at a food stall, and a jade pendant. I heard you talking in your sleep about a missing Lin daughter, she says. It's a flawless lie, of course, since she actually just read his inner thoughts. I had our underworld connections sweep the streets, she smiles. We found her. Her grateful father is actually waiting downstairs to thank you. Kalen just stares at her in pure disbelief. Holy crap, my wife is a walking cheat code. Draven spent 60 whole chapters searching for this girl, and Serafina found her in 3 days just to ease my stress. Winning over the Lin family brings Kalen's factory massive government funding and insane tech breakthroughs. Within just months, he completely dominates the domestic 3-nanometer chip market. He isn't just some Vanguard Group simp husband anymore. He's a legendary tech titan. Meanwhile, the Dragon King Draven is starving for resources. With the corrupt Ye family elders locked up, and Alaric drowning in endless public scandals, and Briar's beauty brand getting crushed by Serafina's aggressive business expansion, the villains are backed into a corner. This epic final showdown won't be happening in some dark warehouse or on a dramatic cliffside, but everything goes down under the blinding lights of the Sapphire City Chamber of Commerce annual gala. Draven struts into the banquet hall with his classic crooked smirk, flanked by Briar and Eric, brandishing the legendary Dragon King token. He is totally ready to call in hidden martial arts, masters, and elite financial tycoons to completely bankrupt the Vanguard Group. Your reign ends tonight, Serafina, Draven declares boldly, his booming voice echoing through the silent, massive hall. The Dragon King commands the shadows of Sapphire City, so surrender your assets and I might spare you. The room is dead silent. Sitting right at the center table, Serafina doesn't even blink, elegantly sipping her red wine. To her left sits a reigning superstar holding massive media influence. To her right stands Kylea, flawlessly coordinating Vanguard's hostile takeover of the Sterling Group on a tablet. Behind Serafina stands Colin, hands resting casually on her shoulders. Look at this guy, posing like an anime protagonist, Colin mocks internally. He has no idea that I already bought off 3 of his secret masters. And get this, Serafina literally owns his secret base's land, so we are about to completely destroy his career. Serafina's lips curve into a breathtakingly dangerous smirk as she overhears Kalen's confident thoughts. She reaches up, gently placing her hand over his, and looks at Draven with cold, mocking eyes. Dragon King, how quaint. In this city, I am the queen, and my husband. She glances up at Kalen, softening her voice just for their table. He is the one who truly rules the queen. Kalen coughs, his ears turning bright red. Damn, she is so incredibly cool when threatening people, but why does she always have to make it sound so dirty? As Vanguard's security forces, newly upgraded with state-of-the-art tech from Kalen's company, they seamlessly surround Draven's entourage as Kalen looks out at the glowing banquet hall, remembering he transmigrated as doom-destined cannon fodder. His original plan was to grab his cash and run to the countryside, but looking at this fiercely loyal, this slightly unhinged, breathtakingly beautiful woman holding his hand, and the two devoted women backing them up, make Kalen realize something profound. Running is for cowards. Why run from the plot when you can just buy the whole damn book and rewrite it yourself? This war is only starting. But as Kalen tightens his grip on Seraphina's hand, he knows one thing for sure. That divorce is officially, permanently, and spectacularly cancelled.